Okay, in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into ComfyUi. What's ComfyUi? Well, it's a node-based visual scripting open source platform, and I'm emphasizing that it's a platform. If you're familiar with Grasshopper, you know Grasshopper has changed architecture and design. The result of Grasshopper is the emergence of this parametric style in architecture. I believe ComfyUi is going to have even a bigger impact on architecture and design. Architects, architecture students, and students thinking about studying architecture, you're in the right place. This workflow that we're going to make, it's going to be a text to image, an image to text, text to sound, and image to video. So where do we start? We start on RunPod. ComfyUi and AI in general takes some serious computing power. And we may think our laptops are great. Like I have an RTX 4070. I think that's just fantastic. But it's truly not enough for these AI platforms. Software like Midjourney, ChatGPT, you're just running on their servers, and they have some serious servers. So to run AI locally is a big hurdle and a big challenge. And I'm thankful for RunPod that we have RunPod. So I'm at runpod.io. Go there, make an account. I'm gonna log in. Okay, so once you're logged in, make sure you have some money on your account. So if you go to billing here, you can add money. I'm running pretty low. I'm gonna have to add some money soon. I would start with $10. And then the next thing you need to do is you need to create some storage. Okay, so you go over to storage from the left and you can click on plus new network volume. Now I have 100 gigabytes in this drive. I would say start with 50 gigabytes, but if you plan on really diving in deep and using this RunPod, 100 gigabytes is going to be the way to go because 50 gigabytes is going to fill up pretty quickly. So I'm going to do a new network volume. And this one is just temporary for the video. So I will just make it 50 gigabytes and you'll see that in a second. But first, you have to pick a data center of where your servers are going to be. So I like this Europe 01 because they have 4090s and they also have RTX 4000s. The RTX 4000 series is good, so I like this one. So I'm going to go with this Europe 1, and then the volume name, I'm just going to call this ComfyUi, and then I'll call it workflow. And I'll probably keep this one, so I'm going to make it 100 gigabytes. Okay. And if I move myself out of the way, I can see what's happening here. I need to create. Okay, so you see that workflow has been made. Not workflow, but network volume drive. And the whole purpose of a network volume drive is so that when you come back to use ComfyUi, all the checkpoint models and all the other models that you downloaded will be there for your use. So really important that you make a network volume drive. And I'm going to click on deploy. You saw that was $7 a month. So if I go back to storage, you see that's $7 a month. Okay, so I'm going to go to deploy. And I'm here under GPU, secure cloud. Global networking is turned off. Make sure that's off. Make sure your network volume drive is showing here. And then you go ahead and pick your GPU. I'm going to go with the 4090. What we're doing today is a little bit intense, intense. You can, however, get away with a RTX 4000. It's about half the cost, 32 cents an hour. It has 16 gigabyte of VRAM. That one's decent. You'll be able to use it. But I'm going to go with the 4090. It has 24 gigabyte of VRAM. But like I said, it's about twice as expensive. Super important. The next step is the template. The template. You have to have the right template to be running ComfyUi. So this template is, if I type in ComfyUi, I just get a ton of ComfyUi templates, and finding the right one is super important. This is the one, ComfyUi Python 3.11 and PyTorch 2.4.0. That is the one. Make sure you're using that template and just go ahead and deploy it. I noticed if you leave this Windows, if you leave this tab, this internet browser tab, it will not make the pod. The pod will not be built, so don't leave it yet. The first time you do this takes a little while for the setup. If you click on, I'm clicking on that down arrow there, and I'm going to logs. And when I click on logs, it's going to tell me what the logs are up to. Now, the first time you do this, I've estimated about 9 minutes. About 9 minutes the first time you do this. So I'll come back to you and update you on when this is done. Okay, so that took about 11 minutes. So probably between 9, 10, and 15 minutes that's going to take. But it'll let you know. It'll get all the way to the bottom. It'll say start scripts finished. Pod is ready to use. So what happened? It just basically downloaded and installed everything for ComfyUi and everything that ComfyUi is dependent on. So that's what happens. The next time you deploy a pod and you use that same network volume drive, it's just going to automatically launch the pod, because none of this stuff that just took 11 minutes is going to have to be done again, as long as you keep the same network volume drive. Okay, so what do we do next? Next, we go to connect. We click on connect, and before we launch HTTP service, which is where ComfyUi will be running, before we do that, we have to run a file through Jupyter Lab. So if I open up Jupyter Lab, this is just basically a file explorer, uses Linux code, but here we see, right here, we see the run_gpu.shell. So if I open up a terminal, I need to use // and then the file name, run_gpu.sh. And this you'll have to do every time. This part you'll have to do every time you're using ComfyUi on RunPod, and this takes a couple minutes. Basically, it's launching ComfyUi. Okay, so that did take a little bit of time, and that you'll have to do each time you run ComfyUi, and it'll say, you don't have to do anything while it's loading, while it's doing that. Just wait till it says all startup tasks have been completed. So if I go back to my RunPod, I can now launch the HTTP service, and that's going to launch ComfyUi. For those of you who want to try ComfyUi on your own computer, recently ComfyUi Desktop has been released. So it's a quick way to install ComfyUi through the desktop on your own computer. But as I said, your computer probably will be pretty slow. Okay, so here we are. So I'm just going to close. This is the welcome screen. I'm going to close the welcome screen. Okay, so it's just a blank screen, okay? So we're going to be using Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium as our checkpoint model, as our way to generate images from text. And I'm really excited about Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium. I think it's a really great workflow. Everybody was raving about Flux over the past year. Well, 3.5 Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium is definitely better than Flux. I'll have to say I did some tests with it, and that is my opinion. Okay, so where do we go? We have to download the checkpoint model for Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium and a sample workflow. So I'm going to put links to all of this in the description to help you go through this, but I just did a Google search, Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium. And today in this tutorial, we're going to get really comfortable and familiar with Hugging Face. If you've used Civet AI or GitHub, Hugging Face is just another repository for all things AI. So if I click on that, not just AI, but all things shared open source files. So if I go ahead and open this up, okay, I'm on this page, and I go to this page and I'm going to go to files and versions. Now you're going to have to agree. You can see I've already agreed. It says gated model. You can list files but not access them. So it says up here, you need to agree to share your contact information to access this model, okay? Once I log in, it's going to say that I have access to it. So go ahead, make a Hugging Face account, and you'll be able to then access these files. Okay, so I'm going to go back and click on that link because it takes me away from that. I am going to right click on that. Okay, so now if I go to files and versions, it lets me in because I agreed. So you have to agree to some terms. Say you're using it for research, and then you'll get in here. So 2 files we need. One is the safe tensors file. That's going to be the checkpoint model. And then one is the sample workflow so that we don't have to make the workflow in ComfyUi. So we're going to be downloading both of these to RunPod. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to go in here and click this down arrow. Well, no, I'm not downloading it. If you're downloading it locally, that's what you're going to do. But I need to right click and copy link address. Okay, and then if I go and I paste that into a new window, I'm going to get rid of the back end up to the question mark. So I'm just getting rid of that. This is the text that I need right here. And certain files you can use wget on Jupyter Lab. We'll see if we can use wget or if we have to use an API to access this file. But I'm going to start here by copying that. And then I'm going to go over to Jupyter Lab. And I'm just going to stay here in the workspace folder. I'm going to open a new terminal. I just like a clean screen to kind of see what I'm doing here. So wget space, and then I paste in that web address link. Okay, and it says username, password, authentication failed. Okay, so now we have to take a deep dive into how we're going to be using RunPod and Hugging Face to directly copy models from Hugging Face into RunPod. So we're going to make this direct connection. Okay, and there is, I have this document here, so I'll put most of this stuff in the description. Okay, so the way that this is done, if I scroll down here, is there's this Hugging Face CLI download repo ID file name. So I'm going to take this. So just watch the way I do this. Remember these two, repo ID and file name. But this I need. Okay, so I'm going to take this, copy it. I'm going to put this toward the top here. Okay, and then the repo ID, what's the repo ID? Well, that is over here on Hugging Face at the very top. It's this one, Stability AI Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium. I can just copy that, and then I can go back, and I suggest everyone has a Word document like this. So then it's space, repo ID, then it's going to be space, and the name of the safe tensor file, which is this file that I'm accessing, SD3.5 Medium safe tensors. It has to be exactly that. So I'm going to just take that and copy that and go over to Word. And I'm going to right click and paste that in as just plain text. Okay, so that, I'm going to hit the Enter key. Okay, so that should be what I need to copy and paste into Hugging Face. Now for Hugging Face to understand this, we have to download the Hugging Face, not download, but we basically have to set the Hugging Face library so it understands the Hugging Face commands that we're going to be giving it. So I'll put, like I said, I'll have all the links in the description. But if I go down to the bottom, sorry for just scrolling around all over the place. Let's see, where is that? Okay, that's here. So we need to load the Hugging Face library. So this loads the Hugging Face library. So that's the first thing that we need to do before we can start bringing files into RunPod. So if I paste that in, okay, that goes. Now it's ready. The library is located. The library is loaded. Now I need to do a login. Okay, now I need to. So basically, I'm logging in remotely to Hugging Face. Okay, so I'm using this to log in remotely to Hugging Face. Okay, it wants my token. Okay, so you're gonna see my token here. Don't use my token. I'm gonna delete that token anyway, so you won't be able to use it. So how do you make your own token? So back at Hugging Face, let's move this into the middle. Back at Hugging Face, if you go to the your little icon for the login and you scroll down to access tokens, this is where you're gonna create a new token and make sure that the permissions of that token are right. Make sure the token, you create a new token, make sure the permissions are right. And then you can, as you see, when you're prompted for that token, you can enter that token in. So here is my token that will not be here after I make this video. Okay, so I'm going to take that token, I'm going to copy that, and Jupyter Lab is asking for that. You can see if I move myself out of the way here, you can see at the bottom here, it says to log in, Hugging Face Hub requires a token. We just got the token. Input will not be visible. So you paste it in, you won't see it. You press enter. Let me get into that window. You paste it in, you won't see it being pasted. You press enter, and you use capital Y for yes. Okay, it gives you some little error. Don't worry about that error. You are now able to copy files, and we are now able to use this little setup that we have here, which is, if I scroll back to the top, now I'm able to use this line if I got it all correct. Okay, it's the repo ID plus the name of the file. So if I copy that and go back over to Jupyter Lab and I paste that in, there it goes. It's downloading. Success. So it's just, this is what we have to do. We have to make a connection, a remote connection between RunPod and Hugging Face. So now we have this connection where we're logged into Hugging Face through RunPod. We can now download files. It's a pretty big file. Okay, it is 5.11 gigabytes. And that went pretty quick, actually. Okay, where is the file? Let's find the file. Let's see where it actually put it. Okay, I've found this to be pretty tricky to find that file. It's like loaded into the cache. So there was one thing missing. Okay, there was one thing missing from this. Okay, that's to make a local temp directory, and I have that text down here. Sorry again for scrolling. It's this. This is the way that I do it. So it makes a local temp folder, and then those files just end up in that local temp folder. So space, paste that in. Okay, so now I can take all of this. Let me make the text smaller so that it fits on one line. Okay, and I'll put this into the description, so I can take this, copy it, go back over to Jupyter Lab, paste that in. Now you see right here, it made a temp folder. So that creates a temp folder, and it puts that file into the temp folder. So I know where it is. It looks like it was in the cache, so it didn't have to re-download it. So it's not like I have a duplicate file. It just put it here. It was loaded into the memory of Jupyter Lab. We took it out of the memory. We dumped it into the temp folder. So now I can take that. That has to go into the checkpoint folder. So I can right click and choose cut, and then I can go to workspace, ComfyUI, models, checkpoints. Can't go into the checkpoints. Cannot open that up. But if I paste it here, right there at the bottom, it shows up, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it into the checkpoints folder. Now, a little bit of Linux, okay? A little bit of Linux for you. If I go to the terminal, okay, I'm in ComfyUI workspace models. I can cd, change directory, and I can type in checkpoints. Now I'm in the checkpoints folder, and I could list what's in that folder. And I have a few Linux commands at the very bottom. So there's change directory, which we just did. There's ls, list files and directory, and there's rm, which is remove. So ls enter is listing the files in that directory. And right here we have SD3.5 Medium.safe tensors. Okay, so we know it's there. So what is next? Well, we need the workflow. We need the temporary, not temporary, but the default workflow. So if I go to this page here, that was the same page, files and versions. I scroll down. I'm going to find the Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium, and for Medium, example workflow.json. So .json, those are files for the workflow in ComfyUI. So I'm going to right click, copy link address. I think I already have this over here. in my awesome Word doc file that is so helpful. Okay, so that's the link to that file directly, but we need to have this where we have the Hugging Face CLI download. Okay, so I think doing this live is helpful for you to see. Hugging Face download space, and then the model card. Okay, and remember the model card is we already have it, is this top part. Okay, so that's the model card. I'm going to paste that in, and then the name of the file, which is the name of the file is this. Take this text here. No, not that. Up here. Take, oh boy. Take this text. Got to get off to the side there. Take that text. That's the name of the file. I'm gonna put in a space. Make sure I have a space. I'm gonna right click and paste plain text. Okay, and then we need this space -- local directory temp so we know where it's putting it. Okay, and let's make this text a little smaller so it fits on one line. And we're going to take all of this and we're going to go over to Jupyter, and we're going to paste that in. Okay, so that's going to be under ComfyUI, under workspace temp. Where did you go? Where did you go? It says moving file to temp. It says it's going to go into temp. Did it make another temp folder? Okay, we got to find where that temp folder went. I wonder if it went into the checkpoints folder. I'm doing ls. Nope, didn't go there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to my workspace folder, and I'm going to make a new terminal here, and I'm going to paste that in, and then hopefully it just puts it in the temp folder. Okay, so it downloaded it. Let's see what's in our temp folder. There it is. Okay, so I'd say that's really important. Always go back to the workspace folder. Go back to the home location. Okay, so where does this file, this workflow file has to go somewhere specific. So I'm going to right click and cut this out, and I'm going to go to workspace, ComfyUI, user, default. I'm looking for workflows. Maybe right here it'll find it. I was looking for workflows, but we'll find out in a second. Let's paste it here, and we'll see if we have to move that. Okay. How about some ComfyUI? So I'm going to refresh my ComfyUI. So I'm going to just refresh it here, the little refresh browser. And I'm going to go right here to workflows. And this is where I want to see my folder. I want to see my workflow file here. So I don't have that workflow file in the right location just yet. So I got to get it into the right location. So there's the workflows. Wow, that was magic. That was magical. Maybe you had to have, ComfyUI running for that to work. That was magical. Let's move it in there. All right. Now let's refresh. There, I just had to refresh workflows. I didn't have to refresh the browser. There's a little refresh for the workflows, so that's good to know. I like to make this wide so that I can see. Okay, there it is, the sample workflow. Wow, that took a while just to get to here. All right, this should generate images. Okay, this workflow should generate images, and it's the default. Beautiful scenery, nature glass bottle, landscape purple, galaxy bottle. We might as well run this one. We might as well just run it. It's going to take a while the first time you run it because it has to load in your checkpoint model and it has to load in these clips. Okay? So these, just because it says the name of the checkpoint model here and the clip models, just because it says those doesn't mean they're loaded and they're ready to go. If I use Control Enter or click on Run at the bottom of the screen, I'm going to get an error. Okay? It can't find the clips. Maybe it has found the checkpoint by default, but I always like to just click on that and then choose it. So now I know the one is there. So that's there. But these checkpoint these clip models, we need these. We can get them from the ComfyUi manager. Okay, so the first two, the first two, clip G and clip L, I can get those from the ComfyUi manager. I can also get them from Hugging Face under which one? Text encoders? There they are. So I can get them through the ComfyUi manager, or I can go here and download them just like we downloaded the other files. Okay, I'm going to go through the ComfyUi manager because it automatically puts them in the text encoders folder. Okay, so, and we get to see just kind of a different way to do things when possible. All right, so I'm going to click on the manager. I'm going to go to model manager. These are models, okay? And I'm going to search comfy-org comfy with an F, org, and there you see the clips, items 97 and 98. You see clip L and clip G. We need both of those, so you got to install them one at a time. One is small and one is big. So install, and these help the text encoder. These help ComfyUi and Stable Diffusion understand your prompt. So these clip models are super important. This is what makes the 3.5 Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium makes it effective, makes it generate good images because of these clips. The third one is going to be an FP, a free point model that we have to download. And to find that one, I'm going to put in FP. What else is another search? I know it's a comfy. I know it's a comfy anonymous. I know it's a comfy anonymous, and I know it's a text encoder for Flux floating point 16, and I know it's about 9.7 gigabytes. So that's numbered 75. I need to install that, and that's going to take a while to download and install. All right, so that took a while. It says refresh required. So I click on the refresh. Then I can click on back. Then I can close this. I can close this bottom window. I also need to, because if I click on these, oh, they're showing up. Okay, they're showing up. I thought maybe if they don't show up, you can always go to edit, refresh node definitions. And I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to put the G there. I'm going to put the L there. And I'm going to put the floating point 16 there. Okay, so now those are there. It should be able to generate an image. I want to start saving this images. So you may have seen another video where I used Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium. I used the sample workflow, and I was talking about, well, the files weren't being saved. That's because this has a preview image, and we need, if I delete that, we need a save image because I like my images to be saved automatically. And I'm going to plug that in there. Okay. So a couple other things to note. Scheduler, SGM_uniform, awesome, great, way better than Keras for this model. Okay, what do I do? Control Enter or click Run at the bottom. There it's loading the checkpoint. That's going to take a while. That was a 5 gigabyte file. So now you can see why the network volume drive needs to be at least 100 gigabytes because ComfyUi takes up some space. This is 5 gig. You saw this one was 9 gig. So we're starting to rack up the gigs pretty quickly. So it's going to load that load checkpoint model, and then it's going to go down and load the triple clip loaders. So the first time you do it, it just takes a while. The images after that you generate won't take as long. I like to see some preview up here on what my GPU is doing, what my CPU is doing, what my RAM is doing. I like to see that. So after this loads in, we're going to load Chris Tools. Chris Tools is going to help us see that. So that'll be helpful for us. So we'll see that in a second. Okay, so where did it go? It's probably going right to the K sampler. Yep, it's going to the K sampler. And then it's going to go to the VAE decode, and then it's going to go and produce an image, and it's going to save that image. Okay, there it is. Let's make this bigger. All right, so we're not here for beautiful bottles, right? We're here for architecture. All right, let's go get that Chris Tools they talked about. So that's clicked on the manager, go to Custom Nodes Manager, search for Chris Tools. So that's going to be CRYS. tools, CRYS tools. But let's go for it. I think this is, okay. I think this is the one. ComfyUi Chris tool. So I'm going to install that. This takes a little while to install. Throughout today, we're using the nightly versions if that's what's available. So there's the nightly, the latest, and then, you know, all the versions before that. I've been using nightly and I've been having success with that. So I'm going to select that. And even though it says version 1.221 here, I choose nightly through here. So that's going to take a little while. Okay, restart required. I'm going to confirm that restart. It's reconnecting. Sometimes this takes a while when it says reconnecting. So be patient with that. Okay, so you can confirm, reload. And these are my Chris tools up here, the CPU, the RAM, the GPU, the VRAM, and the temp. So I like to see how the computer's doing. This used to have a progress bar that did work at one point, but it's not working in this version, in the latest version. So that'll probably come back soon. Okay, so we want to actually generate an image. We're going to keep our images square. So if we go to empty SDL3 latent image, we're going to make it square. So I'm going to make the height of this 1280, press OK. So 1280 by 1280. We're going to put in a prompt, and I'll put this prompt in the description as well. Okay, so that prompt is here. And we'll take a closer look at that prompt in a second. I'm going to put it in to the positive prompt. So a contemporary farmhouse cabin in the parametric style of Zaha Hadid, in the woods with mist and fog in the air, trees, soft desaturated rose glow, ethereal heaven-like light, ambient occlusion, soft shadows, groups of people scattered in the foreground. And you'll see Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium really does a good job understanding that prompt. For the negative prompts, we're going to have, we don't want old, worn, or faded, and you can probably add to that list as well. Okay. So I'm going to save this workflow at this point because I like it at this point. So if I was to open this again, it would be at this point. So I'm just saving that. Control Enter when I'm on the screen here, or press Run at the bottom. Starting with the green checkpoint model, and then it's going to go to the clip, and then it's going to go through. So if you're wondering why this is taking long, because I wanted these tools so bad at the top and we restarted ComfyUi, it had to reload the checkpoint and the clip models. The next time we run it, if we don't restart ComfyUi, this is going to go quicker. But since we restarted ComfyUi, it just is what it is. It had to take some time. At the top is the 77%, and then the percentage of, so the overall percentage and the percentage of the K sampler. So I like a little green bar at the top, but we'll probably have to wait for another release of that. Okay, here's the image. Awesome. Pretty awesome already. Now, if I wanted to keep generating the same image, I'm not going to be able to from this right off the bat, but I could copy. Oh, it just generated another one. Did I click on run? Maybe I clicked on run and it just went really fast. If I want to start getting the same image to be generated each time, I can't get this one unless I copy and paste the seed. But if I change the seed, to fixed, then I'll get a new image, and then I can keep generating that image over and over as it's fixed. So let's see. Let's Control Enter. Goes right to the K sampler. Doesn't have to load the checkpoints in anymore. Right to the K sampler. And then it's going to generate an image. Okay. I don't love this one, but if I was to, with the seed fixed, that image should just be created over and over and over. Let's just verify it. So Control Enter. Okay, it's not doing anything, right? Because it knows that I have this image. I don't need to keep regenerating this image, right? With that fixed. Okay, but I don't like that one. So I'm going to change it back to, if I click increment, let's see what happens. Control Enter. It goes just one more seed forward. Let's see what kind of image we get. Okay. So what have we done in this workflow? We've done text to image. Now we need image to text. So we're going to need some tools we're going to need to download some tools to do that. Okay, let's get this image. Let's get this image better. Let's go to randomize. Let's run this. I'm looking for a white building. I love seeing this GPU go to 100%. The VRAM's only at 73%. It's fun to watch this stuff. Okay, what is next? What is next? So we have to go and we have to get something called Janus Pro. I like this. This one looks pretty decent. Maybe we'll work with this one today. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on fixed. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. I'm going to run this. You'll see why in a second. Okay, new image. But if I paste the old seed that I just copied to the clipboard, let's see, that looks like the same seed. Let's see. That's fixed. I think it might be creating the same image over and over. I think you just have to get it fixed before you make the image, which is a little tricky. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. Yeah, it's not gonna give me that. But I do have that image saved. I don't like this one. Okay, let's go to increment. Let's run it. Okay, we got a lot to cover, so I should be moving forward. So I'm going to go to the manager here, and I'm going to go to custom nodes manager, and I'm going to search for Janus. I'm going to search for Janus Pro. Okay, here it is. Comfy, not DeepSeek. ComfyUi Janus Pro. It says the version here, but when I click on, it says 3 nodes. When I click on install, it's going to give me the option for the nightly. I want the nightly, and it's installing that. Now we're going to need models. We're going to need models to go with this ComfyUi Janus Pro. So let's let that download. Okay, restart required. Restart required. Click on restart. We'll confirm it. Wonder if it's going to have to load in the checkpoint models again. Probably, because you see this reconnecting. Remember, this reconnecting can take some time. Okay, we'll confirm that. Reload. So that resets everything. So we lose that image. Those checkpoint models are going to have to load again. That's just the way it is. Okay, before we start bringing out the Janus components, let's right click and let's go to add group. And then it makes a little, sometimes it's hard to see where that is, but it makes a little group. And as long as everything in here, I'm going to the lower right of that and clicking on the little, getting my arrows, zoom out, and then just encompass everything. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to edit group, title, and we're going to give it the name. So this is our SD3.5 image, no, not image, text to image. And next we're going to translate this image that's generated into text. Okay, so we need 2 of the 3 Janus nodes. So if I double click and I type in Janus, okay, we see the 3 of them: model loader, image generation, and image understanding. We're going to use model loader and understanding. So I'll bring in the model loader. And you see that's going to need a model, DeepSeek AI Janus Pro -1B. There's also a 7B. We don't have it, but it's there. We don't want to use 7B because that's just, too large, too intense for our computer. So 1B is decent. And then we're going to use the Janus model, or the Janus understanding, the image understanding. So it translates the image to text. So we go to model, we go to processor, and then we need to tie the image. So we're keeping this parametric. We're tying the image from our text to image. So I grab that from here, I drag that out, and that's going to go into my image. Okay. Now we need one more to display. This says describe this image in detail. We need to display in text. We need another node, and that node is from the show any from the Comfy Easy Use package. So if I go to Manager and I go to Custom Nodes Manager and I search here in the search bar, I search Easy Use, then I get ComfyUi Easy Use. And again, this will take, it's 194 new nodes that you'll have available in ComfyUi. So that'll take a little bit of time. So I'll go to Install, click on Nightly, click Select, let that install. Man, we are learning a lot in this one. Okay, another restart. Another restart. Lots of restarting today. Okay, let's see if that's gonna show up. If I type in easy, or it's actually show anything, I probably gotta refresh the nodes. Yeah, so let's try it this way. Let's just do a refresh nodes and see if we can get away. Probably gonna have to restart it. Yep, let's restart it. Okay, so if you get that screen, if you get this bad gateway, okay, I don't, you might get this. I'm glad I encountered it. We just got to relaunch ComfyUi because I didn't restart it like I should have, but it's good to see this so that you don't kill your pod. You don't kill your pod. You just go back to Jupyter Lab and you go here to workspace, and I like making a new terminal, and you just do your period /run _ GPU.sh for shell. You're restarting ComfyUi. That's what you're doing. You're just doing it through the terminal instead. So when you're doing a reconnecting, this is what it's doing. That's what takes so long. It's doing this setup. Then it's got to go through where it counts the numbers by 5, 10, 15. All right, we'll be back. Okay, it'll say all startup tasks have been completed. Then we can go back and we can launch it, and that's going to launch for us. Okay, and it just loads in the workflow. That's great that it loads it in. We need the show any, and that's from ComfyUi Easy Use. So that's the one that we need. That text goes into here. All right. Let's run this. Let's run this prompt. It's all set up to run. It's going to take a little while for everything to load in, as you know, and we'll just Control Enter, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so it's letting us know that it's missing something, which we knew it was going to be missing the model. It's missing the Janus Pro 1B. That's the model it's missing. Can we get this by just loading it through the ComfyUi Manager models? Well, we can check. I'm going to copy and paste that text. We can go to Manager, and we can go to Model Manager, and we can search to see if we can do that directly through the Comfy. I don't see anything here. Janus Pro. Okay, there it is. Janus Pro 1B. So we can do it directly through here. You cannot download this item on ComfyUi Manager below version 3. Well, let's see. Can we do it? Can we do it? Let's see. It's downloading at the bottom. So we'll see if this is all going to go into the right folder, and then we don't have to go dig it out from Hugging Face. Okay, refresh. Back. Close this bottom panel. Let's see if it shows up. If I click here. Okay, let's see if that's the actual one. Control Enter. Okay, it's loading that in. So it found it, it's loading it in. Something's running in the background, probably over here. Yeah, so everything's kind of loading in. So it's taking a little bit of time. Just gotta be patient, let it load in. Okay, sampler's going. Okay, just to point out, we are pioneers right now. We are pioneering. This is a new frontier. Don't like how I cut the building off there. We are pioneers. So these workflows are super cool, and I'm super excited about them. But there's tons of node-based scripts out there, since this is open source, and we're just, we're using the Janus Pro. I found this to be a pretty good one. That was fast to generate the text, and it generates the text for me. So this image depicts a serene winter landscape with a modern curved building situated in the foreground. The building has large glass windows, and so on. So it does a little bit more descriptive text for us than we put in. And we're going to be using this and see if we can generate some sound as a soundtrack for a video that we produce later. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to right click and add group. And my little group, where did my little group show up? I like to be zoomed out when I do the add group so that I can see it. I know it put it somewhere, but let's just do it again. So right click, add group. We're going to make that nice and big so it encompasses all that. We're going to click on this little down arrow, and we're going to give it a color, and we're going to right click on this and choose edit group title, and we're going to call this one image to text. Move myself out of the way, click OK. Okay, so that is going to work for us. Okay, so I'm going to save this workflow as a different file. So I'm going to do a save as, and this is going to be my SD3.5 Medium, but it's going to be a whole bunch of other things as well. So it's going to be image to text. And it's going to be, it's first going to be text to image, and then it's going to be image to text, and then it's going to be text to sound, and then it's going to be image to video. Okay. All right, so we have that saved. All right, so the next part. Okay, so we're going to need a couple models, and I do like to check in the manager just to see if they're there. So if I go here and I do a search, I'm searching for stable audio. Okay, so nothing's showing up there. Stable. Just looking over here, there's a stable 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. I'm looking for stable audio open 1.0, and I don't see it. I don't see it here. When I type in stable, nothing shows up. If I type in audio. Okay, so I always like to check here first. I know this is one that we're actually going to be using this, but we'll get to that in a second. So I know we're going to use that one, but I don't see the first one that I need. Okay, so we're going to go, and I'll put the link down in the description. Let me grab it from my document. Okay, that's this one, stable audio open 1-0. So let's just going to search this up, and I'll put the link in the description. So that's this one. And if I go to files and versions. Okay, so these are called model.safetensors. So we know that that's not going to fly, that name of it. We're going to have to rename that. But we do need that safe tensor. Okay, so I have that. I already have that in my Word doc. I have it here. huggingface-cli download stable open 1.0. So that is the repo ID, and then we need the file name. We don't need these brackets. Okay, so that's the repo ID, and then the file name is model.safetensors, and then local directory temp. So I can copy this, go over to Jupyter Lab, and I'm making sure I'm here in the ComfyUI in the workspace folder, not ComfyUI, but workspace folder. Start a new terminal. Paste this in. It's going to dump it into that temp folder. Okay, so while that's downloading, I can go and I can get that the second model that we're going to need is the T5 base. And if I do a search for this one, T5 base, let's see if I can get this to show up. Okay, this Google T5 base. So we're going to need this one under files and versions. That's also called model.safetensors. Let's see. That's also called model.safetensors, but I think we can get this directly from the ComfyUI manager. So if we go back here and we open up the manager and we go to model manager, I can search in, I think I searched in audio. Yeah, search in audio and we get that 892 megabytes. Okay, so that's that one. So we're just doing it directly from the ComfyUI manager. So we can click on install. Okay, refresh. Close this. Close this. Close this. Okay, how'd this one do? Okay, so that copied over. So we gotta figure out where to put this. Well, we gotta rename it first of all. We don't want it to be model.safetensors. So I'm gonna go over to my Word doc and I'm gonna name it this stable audio open. Let's save it as that. So I'll go back. Rename this guy. Oh, let me get that right text again. Control C. Right click. Rename this guy. Okay, where does that go? I have that in my Word document. That's going to go in models checkpoint. Okay, so models checkpoint in the mysterious folder that we can't open. So Control X, or just right click and cut. And then I'm going to go to Workspace, ComfyUI, Models. That's got to go to checkpoints, but I can't put it there. So I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to drag it into my checkpoints folder. Okay. So what do we need to see these? So we're going to need a load checkpoint. Okay, and load checkpoint always looks for the checkpoint, always looks to that ComfyUI models checkpoints folder. So we're going to click on that. We're not seeing it yet, so I'm going to go to edit, refresh node definitions. Okay, click in here. Now it shows up stable audio. Okay, so that's there. Stable audio is there. Now we're going to need a load clip. So we're going to use a load clip. And in the load clip, we're going to choose this instead of the type stable diffusion. This is going to be stable audio. That's just kind of like a default thing for us there. And then we're going to change the clip name to that T5 base model. Okay, cool. Okay, what else do we need? We need a positive and a negative prompt. So these these are our clip text. Clip text and code. Like to make one green for the positive. This is just kind of what people are doing out there. I can copy paste this. I can go down and change this to be red if I can find the red. Where are you, red? Okay, so positive, negative. We're going to plug in our clip here and our clip here. Notice with the Stable Diffusion 3.5 Medium and with this, we're starting to not use the clip from the checkpoint, but use the clip from the load clip. Okay, we're going to need a K-sampler. So K-sampler needs a model. It needs a positive and a negative. It needs a latent image. Well, it's not really going to be a latent image. It's going to be an empty latent audio. So empty latent audio. Okay, so empty latent audio. That's going to go here. So that latent is going to go up to that latent there. Let's get this just a little bit better organized here. Okay, we need a VAE decode. Okay. So the latent is going to go into the samples. The VAE from the model is going to go into VAE here. Kind of like to keep my wires open so I can kind of see where things are going. And this is going to be not a save image, but a save audio. So ComfyUi is already set up for audio and image. So these are just default. Most of these are default. Like the save audio, this comes with it. This VAE needs to be audio. VAE decode needs to be audio. So these things, you know, you got to know if you're doing images, video, or sound. And we're doing sound, so I need a VAE audio. VAE decode audio. So my latent goes in there, and my VAE model goes in here, and then my audio to audio goes there. Okay, so this should be ready. Let's see, do we have all the models in there? Do we have everything we need? I think this 47.6. This I believe is seconds. So we're just gonna make a 30-second. Okay. So do we have anything? We're trying to make audio. Let's test it out. So here, let's put in crowded subway station. So we're not linking it to our main definition yet. Let's control enter to run that. Okay, we know it's gonna take a little time to load these in. Okay, so it made us some sound here. All right, we can hear the L train. We can hear the L train running in the background. All right, let's play around with this a little bit. Okay, so crowded subway station. Let's try crowded city street and see how that sounds differently. Everything for me is crowded. Being in Chicago, I guess everything is crowded. So control enter. Okay, let's check that one out. I notice the sound is kind of low. Okay, yeah, this is super cool. So sound of raindrops. I don't know if that's 2 words or 1 word, a raindrop. So what you can do, the other ones are running. So these other ones have been producing images. Oh, I like that one. I can bypass these. So I can click on that K sampler there, and I can choose bypass. Just know that you've bypassed them. I can bypass this one. So it's not running those. And then I can use control enter. Okay, and that just does it super quick. So we bypass those. And you can hear some raindrops falling. Okay, so I think this is just totally super cool. And again, I'm experimenting with some workflows. So there's always going to be better models out there. So you just want to be investigating these. So I like this one. I think this one is pretty cool. It's pretty fast. So we're going to go to add group here. There's my little group. I was able to find it this time. Okay. I want to make it a little bit bigger. Let me just scoot these in. Okay, let's change its color. Not a lot of colors here to pick from. Picking the same color. Okay, so I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go to edit group, and I'm going to go to title. And this is my text to sound. Now we haven't linked it as a text to sound yet. We haven't done that. We've just been typing in some sounds. Okay, there's our text to sound. Okay, just to show, I mean, that ran pretty quick. Just to show, we can add our own text. So create music to a snowy, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to find out. Snowy mountain landscape. Let's generate. We know that this goes pretty fast, so let's control enter. That goes super fast. Man, it's so fast. Ridiculous. Okay. That's what it thinks. That's the AI. That is the AI generating that. How about create a hip hop song? Hip hop song. Let's see how this model was trained. If it was trained on any hip hop. Super fast generating. Terrible. That was terrible. One more before we tie it in. Just having too much fun with this. All right. An instrumental hip hop song. Instrumental hip hop song. Let's try that. Control enter. See, it's only 30 seconds. A lot of noise. I noticed a lot of noise in the background. How about a hip hop looping beat? Rita has joined us. Everyone knows my dog Rita. She sees something outside that she's barking at. I'm guessing the distortion is just maybe, I don't know, but maybe because I'm recording the video at the same time and a lot of things are happening with my video card. How do I unmute it? Okay, let's tie it in. Let's save this workflow, save. So we got this thing saved. We can do a better color than this. Too close to the one next to it. Okay, there we go. All right, so we gotta hook these up. We need to hook these up. Okay, so we got to go from, here's that one group that I made that's kind of lost in here. How do I get that group? It's like stuck in there. There we go. That was that one that I couldn't find. All right, so I'm gonna turn off the bypass, okay? Because we want these to actually generate images and text. So I'm gonna turn off the bypass. Okay, and we need to go from this text, the text that gets generated here, into here. So I need to right click on this. I need to right click on the node, and I need to go to. All right, so this was a little tricky. Like where I had to right click was a little tricky on this, but I had to specifically right click. I believe I'm right clicking on the words clip, text, and code, and then I'm choosing convert widget to input, and I'm choosing convert text to input, and now it's looking for an input for text there, which I can drag, or not looking, but yeah, it's giving me that input, so I can go directly to there. So we need to run this whole thing here. I like saving before I run. All right, control enter, and let's see what we get with this whole workflow tied in together. Okay, generated an image. I keep forgetting to lock the seed before I make the image. All right, but it generated an image. It's giving me a description of that image. Okay, then that text of the description of the image should be going here into the positive. I don't see it. Maybe we needed a show any. But that should have went into there to generate the sound track. Turn it up. Okay, and this is, I shouldn't call this a sound track. I should call this a sound effect. Okay, we can always make separate audio for the soundtracks, but this is, in terms of sensory, this is the sensory feel of that image being described. And I imagine they're gonna continue to sound similar. Let's go ahead and fix our seed. And let's go ahead and Control Enter to generate that. It's going to this K sampler here. The RTX 4090 is pretty fast. Generates a new image, describes that image. That description is going into the text for the sound effect, and over here it's outputting as the sound effect. Pretty cool, and I knew it was going to be a little bit similar. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to go from image to video. Okay, so the image that's being generated over here, we're going to turn that into video. So some steps to do that, and that's the last part of our workflow. Okay, so all the nodes that we need are actually in ComfyUi. They're just, part of the ComfyUi core package. But we're going to need another model, and I always like to start by searching for the model in the manager. So I'm going to go to the manager, I'm going to go to models, and I'm going to search. We're going to search for T5. Let's see what we get with T5. And let's do a Google search so that we can match this. Or I'll actually grab a link from my file. So this is my image to video. This is the link on Hugging Face. So LTX video. Let's see if we can find that. If we can just do it directly through ComfyUi. Okay, so nothing's showing up here. How about LTX video? Okay, LTX video, something shows up. What is the checkpoint that we're looking for? If I go to files and versions, there's a whole bunch of them. Okay, the one that I'm going to be looking for is the 2B. Okay, so the 2B safe tensors. It's a little lighter. I mean, even though it's 9.37 gigabytes, it's a little lighter. Well, that's not, because this one's 5.72 gigabytes and this one's 6.3, and so this one's actually a little bit bigger. The 2BV 9.5 is this one. That one's a little smaller. So I don't know. I would experiment with the 3. I know we're renting space in the cloud. I'm tempted to go with the bigger one, just to see if it can do a better job, because this is a challenge. Going from text to audio is a challenge. So what did we have over in ComfyUi? Okay, we have the versions here. So we have those are there. So we can do this through the manager. I'm going to go for the 9.37 gigabyte. Let's fill up that hard drive. Why not? While that's loading, there is another one that we need to get. We need this one. So that one, it goes in the checkpoint folder. That should go automatically. But if you do it manually, that goes into the checkpoint. This one goes into the text encoders. Let's take a look at that one. That's Comfy Anonymous Flux Text Encoders. So let's go to that one. Okay, as always, there's different ones. There's the scaled. There's the FP8 and the FP16. Floating point 16 is always better than floating point 8. This one is scaled. I'm gonna go for the big one. I'm gonna go for the big one again. Let's see if this is not the same as the one that we've already have downloaded, since it's one of our text encoders. This might be the one that we already have, the FP16, and I can check that. Click refresh here. That downloaded fast. Close this. Close this. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so where am I at? I got this text prompt out somewhere here. So we need a load checkpoint. And that's okay. Cool. It's found our video. Let's make this bigger. It's found our video. Okay, so we got that there. We need a load clip. Just a single load clip. Okay, so the type of the clip. Okay, we're gonna let's change it to the model. Do I have the model yet? Okay, so I'm thinking this is the same, the T5/T5XXL safe tensors. Let's see here. T5XXL FP16. FP16. Okay, that looks like the same one. T5XXL underscore FP16. Okay, that's the one we want. Okay. Okay, so type. Once I loaded that in, my type, I didn't have all these types before, but now I have a LTXV. Okay, so that's my video type. Okay, cool. So we got the two models. We have the two models. Those are loaded in. So let's bring out a K-sampler custom. K-sampler custom. Or it's actually sample custom. Sample custom. Okay, there's an advanced and there's a custom. They both come with stable diffusion. Whenever you see Comfy Core, that's default to stable diffusion. So let's go with just the custom, not the advanced. Okay, so we start plugging these things in. So we can go model to model, positive to positive. So we're going to need a negative. There's sampler sigmas latent image. Okay, so let's get another clip text and code prompt. Oh, he disappeared on me. There you go. And yeah, let's change it to red. Okay, so remember our text encoders go into the clips now, not from the load checkpoint. So we need a couple different. All right, negative can go here. We need a couple things here. Okay, so we need a K-sampler select. This is a new one for us. K-sampler select. Okay, and that's going to go into our sampler because this sampler custom didn't have that, like the K-sampler. So we're using our, and then I'm not sure, to be honest with you, what the best sampler is to make this video. Maybe it's not Euler, but we have all these in here. Why don't we go with our D one we've been using, our DPM PP2M. I think that's what we're using all the way over. DPMP2M. Okay, cool. So we got that. And this is video. It's a little different than image, but maybe that's a good one. And we're gonna need our LTXVL scheduler. Okay, that's this one. Okay, so that has a Sigmas output to Sigmas output. Okay, we're gonna leave it as the default for right now. And then we need an empty, you know, we've been doing empty latent video, empty latent audio. Now we need an empty, oh, you disappeared on me. We need an empty LT latent audio, empty LT XVL latent audio. So we need that one. And that's gonna go in where it says latent image. That's gonna be our latent audio. Our size of this, we're gonna make this to 1280. So we're just working at 1280 by 1280. We don't have to do any upscaling because we've been doing 1280 by 1280. Length of 97, I think that's 4 seconds. We can start to look into that. Okay, so I think this will generate some video. We got the sampler custom here. We need a save. So we need to save again. This is animated web, not a save image. We've been using save image. This is an animated WEBP, and this is part of Comfy Core, so it comes with ComfyUi. We're missing a VAE decode, and this is just a regular VAE decode. It's not a VAE decode sound. Okay, so image goes here. Output goes here. Okay, I think we have everything. I think now this is just going to be text to video to begin with. I think we have everything. Let's try it out and see what happens. Let's say blooming flower. All right, we had Rita join us. Now Data Boy, our cat, has joined us, and he's crying for something that he sees. All right, let's control. All right, everything's going to run, but just let everything run. Why not? We didn't have a save. We had a save, but I'll look a little further into that. Okay, ComfyUi is telling me I'm missing something. I'm missing the VAE here, so you guys might have caught that. I got to plug that in. Let me save this workflow. Let's run it. Loading in that safe tensor. Then that one's already loaded. That clip's already loaded for us. All right, here it is in the sampler custom, so it's going through that. Now this is generating audio, okay? It's generating, not audio, it's generating video. It's generating 4 seconds of video, which is gonna take some time. You see the GPU is jacked up to 100%. The VRAM is up there as well. Temperature is pretty cool. They must keep these things pretty cool in these data centers. So this is gonna be the part that takes the longest. But it is what it is. Now we're probably not going to see that. So let me do a save WEBM. Let me get that plugged in quick enough. Okay, because I think that's going to be our preview. Yeah, the top one is a save. I think the bottom one is a preview. My guess is it's a pretty large file size since it is video. Okay, the first time around I did not have this plugged in quick enough, so I had to run it, Control Enter to run that again. There's 4 seconds of video. Oh, the suspense. I would say something doesn't look right here. So let's figure this out. That save takes forever. I might see if I can bypass that. What's typed in? Blooming flower. Okay, I had to do some troubleshooting. Okay, let's take a step back here. So the load checkpoint, I did end up going with the 2B 9.5. It's a little smaller, but it's a little faster. So I went with that. But I think what really fixed what I was working with was my load clip, the text encoder. Had to be this FP8 E4M3FN. So that one, that's this one. Okay, I'll have a link to that. That's the one I use. Now it's questionable whether I can go back to the larger one here. The 9.0 was the larger one. The 9.5 is the smaller one. I can probably try both of these. But this generated, I was just looking at what this generates, and this is generating a flower blooming. Now, the developers of this say that you need a really long text prompt. This was a really short text prompt, and it gave me video. We're going to go image to video. But I do just want to check. I think it's worth checking
just to see what the difference is between the 9.5 and the 9. So I'm going to set that back to the 9. I'm going to rerun this. Okay, let's take a look at that. Yeah, see that's horrible. Okay, so glad we're testing this out. So two important things, not just one important thing. This should be the 9.5, okay? That's going to be the 9.5. We talked about this scaled safe tensors, but one thing that I did miss during the break, or did add during the break, is the LTXV conditioning. Okay, so there's 4 nodes happening here. There's the LTXV conditioning, the K-sampler select, the LTXV scheduler, and the empty LTXVL latent video. So the clip text encodes go into the LTXV conditioning, and then that goes into the sampler custom. Okay, but we're not here to describe video. We're here to turn our images into video. So we need two nodes. Okay, we need empty LTXV latent video. Okay, and that's going to be set to. Okay, we have that over here. So let's look at the only node that we actually need. The only node, or only 2 nodes that we actually need is a guide. Okay, so we need an LTXV guide. Okay, LTXV add guide. Okay, because that has an image, and we need an LTX pre-process. Okay, so that's going to pre-process our image. Now we probably want to look at going directly from image to image and see what happens there, but so we're going to go all the way over here to our image. Okay, so that's going into the add guide, and then so this is going to be the new pass-through. So positive, negative, VAE is going to go in here. Okay, and this is going to be our new positive, negative, latent image. Okay, so this is kind of like a bypass that's happening here. So this is going to go directly from our image. So we can make a description for our image. I'm going to say slow zoom, snow. I'm going to do slow zoom, comma, snow falling. So you got to get used to what is the text what is a good descriptive prompt. And this, from some of the videos I said, they say the longer the better, but I don't know, I don't know about that. I can't confirm that, but let's run this and see what happens. Okay, I'm missing right here. This needs to go into here. So this technically, just to kind of see it, goes over here. And ComfyUi didn't let me know, or I didn't really know it, that it put that little red symbol there. Okay, so let's Control Enter to run this. Okay, let's see what it looks like. All right, needs a little work for sure, but it is working. It's just having trouble with as soon as it zooms in, the building. As soon as it zooms in, the building deteriorates. So it needs a little work, a little fine tuning. I think eventually you'll see a video from me where I just focus on this portion of it to really. I'm sure there's a lot of parameters to fine tune in here to get that working correctly. But I just want to do a recap really quick here that I did use the 9.5 safe tensors. And if you go to the manager, and if I look at model manager, and I look at lot installed here, this is the 9. Sorry. This is the 9.5 one, the 6 gigabyte one, so that's a little bit smaller. that's the one that I ended up bringing in. And this is the scale, the E4M3FN. I didn't find that from the model. I didn't find that from the model manager, so I had to get that from here. And again, I'll put a link to that in the description. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's put in here. So it said text. We'll put low quality. Distortion. And let's run this again. Let's just see what we get here. Control Enter. Okay, that's a lot better. That is actually not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. That's not too bad. We got the snow falling and just not too bad. This one we don't need, so I'm just gonna get rid of that one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make a group of this one. So I can have a clean workflow. And there's ways to share this workflow too. Oops. Let's get this moved over. Okay, we're gonna right click and we're gonna name this, edit group, title, call this image to video. So there are a lot of other models out there for image to video. There's a lot of other workflows. So I would, if you're not loving this, I would search for that, but this gives you the main idea of it. All right, this is called the workflow. The workflow, because it is quite a workflow here. We're creating text to images, and then we're creating image to text, and then we're creating text to sound effects, and then we're creating image to video, all in one workflow, all in one software or platform. I will call it a platform with a bunch of different software kind of mixed into it. So just a couple of things, make sure you save the workflow. Make sure you know where the things are being saved. So if we go to workspace and we go to ComfyUI and we go to output, let's take a look at what's happening here. So we have some audio output there. So a whole bunch of audio sounds. Bet those were the ones we were making. What else is under output? Looks like these are our videos, these WE. Let's see, let's click on the latest one 2 minutes ago. Let's click on that. Okay, it's saying it's not supported. So make sure that you actually save the video. Just click on the 3 dots and you can download it. So you can download that. I'm just going to download that really quickly just so I have it. Okay, and the rest are our output images. So the images in the video went into the same folder, just so you know that's there. The other thing is, okay, so we saved this workflow. We can close that. We can close the Jupyter lab now, and we need to terminate. Always remember to terminate your pod when you are done. All right, I hope you have a fantastic time with this. I'm super excited about ComfyUI. I think ComfyUI is the next big game changer in architecture. All right, I'll see you on the next one.